What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Rurouni Kenshin. This is episode 13, I believe. And with
Yeah.
me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yep. So we're at the what was it the final episode of the first core, in which of course is titled Battle's End, in which we see pretty much we see the end of the fight between Kenshin's group and against Conru and his and his big Gatling gun that he's basically just shooting like a wild man.
I'm going to point out, too, that
And
the Gatling gun is, like, for some reason, it's all rendered in CG. And it's kind of distracting at times to see it, like, with the 2D characters and, like, with Conryu firing the gun. It's just like a CG gun that he's
yeah.
fired.
Yeah, so what happened, and of course what happened by the end of the last episode, we see one of Ayoshi's men using himself as a human shield to protect Ayoshi from getting shot at from the Gatling gun. And of course he dies from his injuries. And then soon afterwards, pretty much the rest of Ayoshi's men gets gunned down and killed, trying to protect Ayoshi. And all that's left is all that's left is of course Ayoshi, Kenshin, and his group going up against Conryu, in which um, I think Conryu ends up running out of ammo in his Gatling gun, which leaves Kenshin an opening to just basically just bash his face in.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, they were one of the other members of Aoshi's group. Like, you kind of get the guy with the burnt off face. You kind of get some of his backstory with the group to kind of make you feel a little bit more sympathy for him and Aoshi's group because of, like, I guess the bond they shared. So he also sacrifices himself to in order for Kenshin to get close to Konryu and take him out.
Yeah, and of course, once that's all that's settled, they go up to where Megumi is being imprisoned, and of course, Megumi decides to uh, tries to commit suicide to atone for her crimes for making the opium in the first place. But of course, Kenshin and and the others stop her from doing so and decide to just you can atone for your crimes by just by just basically just working as a doctor and helping others of sorts.
Well, I
And
mean,
then
yeah,
once
specifically
the
Sanosuke stops her, and I feel like it kind of shows that he sort of indicates that he's changed, probably changed his somewhat have changed his opinion about her, because at first he was very, standoffish because of what her opium had done and killed his friend, and he kind of blamed her for it, but it seems like now he's just like, he at least didn't want her to kill herself. I guess maybe he sees it as like she should try to atone, like while she's still alive or something.
Yeah, and so once the police arrive, we see Kanyu trying to, throw Megami under the bus, but of course, Kenshin and the others, I guess, vouch for her to, you know, but basically, I guess, lie in on behalf of Megami that she wasn't a part of it. I mean, they could have just simply said that Megami was roped into this whole scheme with Conru making the opium in the first place. But of course, the police decide to just not charge her for the crimes and then just arrest Conru instead.
Yeah. And of course, they also ask about if they encountered Aoshi when they entered the building, and of course, they said they didn't see him, but that they encountered like these headless bodies, the headless corpses of his men, and we find out that they're like they wonder where Aoshi, if Aoshi had gotten away, where how he would have gotten out, and apparently there's like a secret passage that he could escape from, that he could use to escape. So
Yeah,
they go to the exit from the of the passage, this underground passageway, and they eventually catch him trying, kind of perched on a ledge, and he's got the heads of all his men, uh, and he basically tells Kenshin that he'll be back to challenge him again someday, and then he leaves.
yeah. And then soon afterwards, we pretty much get an epilogue of sorts of what happens to Megami, going back to the dojo, eventually just saying her goodbyes, and decides to work with the doctor that uh, helped out from earlier before. So, so yeah, that's pretty much what we end off things from there. And then of course there's the post credit scenes with Aoshi burying the heads of his men, uh, pretty much trying, making a promise that he'll honor their memories soon after that.
Yeah, and then he just walks off into a forest, and I guess we probably I'm assuming we probably not won't see his character again for a while. At least that's the impression I got. I don't know how it is in the original series, but that's kind of what I took away from that. Is that he'll probably show up
Yeah,
again at some point, but probably sometime later.
yeah, yeah. He is gonna make another appearance sometime later in one of the upcoming major storylines that's gonna show up probably by the next core. Well, I don't know like what they're gonna be adapting in the next core. I don't know if there's um I don't know if like there's enough episodes to cover for all that, whatever material is left. But um I mean we'll have to see where it goes. But thankfully the next core is going to continue into the rest of the year.
Yeah, at least they won't. I'm guessing. I guess at least they won't go on a break or anything like that in between course.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought this is a pretty good episode and a way to end this story arc. I thought it, I guess what we can expect next is a major villain from the original series to show up. But Kanryu is not the most memorable villain, but I think the most interesting thing about this arc was Megumi and what and her character, and also
Yeah.
Aoshi as well, even though he's not really like the main villain.
Yeah. And of course what to expect in the upcoming episodes, probably the next core.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're gonna include like one of the other major villains, Shishio, because I don't think they did post up uh like a what was it, a preview poster for the upcoming arc, but it doesn't look like Shishio is featured in the upcoming story,
Yeah,
at least as far as I know.
yeah, maybe they'll save him for a second season. Um,
Probably.
yeah, but I don't really have too much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
It was a decent way to end the first half of the new Rurouni Kenshin series. I mean it's not as memorable as like as what was it, the last story arc that we saw earlier with Jine,
Yeah,
but I thought it was a decent way to end this storyline with the whole Megumi and the opium storyline.
yeah, I feel like it's probably because the last story arc it felt more personal for Kenshin because it was directly related to his backstory.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is more like it more so involves Megumi and what's going on with her.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll get to see more of the other characters, especially with Aoshi, who promises to be back to challenge Kenshin again.
Hmm.
So obviously we haven't seen the last of him, and then of course Megami will eventually be back in later stories. But with the upcoming storyline, it'll mostly focus a little bit more on Kenshin, considering there are more characters, that still has some amount of beef with him, during his days as the original Batosai.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's going to. It'll definitely be more interesting once they reveal more of his backstory as well. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.